Small businesses began forming across South Sudan after the signing of the CPA. 7,000 of them had registered with the new southern government as of 2010. Here, a woman entrepreneur brews strong yet sweet Sudanese tea in the southern version of a roadside cafe. Southern women suffered most during the two North-South civil wars as victims of mass rape, slave raids, kidnappings, and famine. You can see in this woman's face the memory of some of the painful experiences of what she endured during the war. Every Southerner has stories of loved ones lost and terrible violence they have seen and can never forget. Agriculture is the dominant traditional source of employment and wealth in South Sudan. It is a cattle culture with more animals per capita than any other country in Africa. Here, we see one of the ever-present southern cattle camps with a cattle boy keeping watch over his family's herd. The 10 million cattle in the south each have individual names, which for their own animals the cattle boys know by heart. South Sudanese have converted to Christianity faster than any other society in recent history, a process which accelerated during the Second Civil War. The church, with deep indigenous roots, is the strongest and most influential institution in South Sudan right now, a close second being the Southern People's Liberation Army. We see here a Roman Catholic priest who is a Southerner, celebrating Mass in one of these new Southern churches, while a high school student in the congregation watches on. We see here the shell of a northern Sudanese tank destroyed during the Second Civil War, one of the many scars on both the landscape as well as the people's memory caused by the 22-year conflict. Between the First and Second Civil Wars, 4 million Southerners lost their lives. Rebecca Grund is the widow of Dr. John Grund. It was he who led the South through the Second Civil War as its military and political leader. What's more, Dr. Grund also negotiated the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, which ultimately ended the war and resulted in the South becoming an independent state. He died 7 months after signing the peace agreement in a helicopter accident. Mama Rebecca, as she is better known in the South, talked to Andrew about her plans to get a new private Anglican school opened. The White and Blue Nile rivers, as well as their tributaries, run through South Sudan. They are a rich source of fish, water for irrigation, as well as various other means of commerce. We see in this photo the use of the Nile as the best form of transportation in the South, given there are few, if any, paved roads. 40 years of civil war destroyed the few schools which did exist in the South. This sobering fact has translated into very low literacy rates, with almost 2/3 of the adult Southern population unable to read and write as of 2009. Peace has driven up school attendance so that now 3/4 of all elementary-aged children are in school. We see here children in one of those primary schools in their classroom. Half of the budget of the new South Sudan government goes to the Southern military called the SPLA. Half of the Southern Army was armed, paid, and organized into 70 militia groups by the Northern military with the intent to attack the SPLA. Due to this, many of the deaths during the war were from South-on-South violence, which were subsidized and organized by the Northern government. After the peace agreement was signed, the Southern armies were all merged into one force, which now guards the border because of Southern fears the North might invade once more. Southerners voted in January 2011 by a margin of 98% to secede from Northern Sudan and become an independent country, which took place officially on July 9, 2011. Here are some young women enjoying a lighter moment a few months before the historic vote, which had people lined up and waiting for hours to cast their much-anticipated first vote.